Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So this video has come about due to one that we did last week, and we looked at the Eagles and Randy Meisner, analysed his voice, and I did mention in that video that unfortunately on the performances that have been uploaded more recently, the lead vocal, Randy's lead vocal, has been auto-tuned and pitch corrected. And you guys know that on the channel, if I do see anything and hear anything that has been manipulated, I will bring it to your attention. And I wanted to do a video on it to show you what they've done to Randy's vocal, but also just highlight the fact that they are now doing this and re-releasing old performances and live vocals that now don't sound like the live vocal because they've been changed. And I did another video on this where we looked at Freddie Mercury's voice being auto-tuned, and this was released on the official Queen YouTube channel, where they'd auto-tuned Freddie Mercury's voice from a live performance in the late 70s and re-released it. So that original audio, now if people were to type in the particular performance, they would now be hearing an auto-tuned vocal and not the actual vocal that happened on that evening. The problem that I've got with this is that eventually, potentially, we're never going to hear the original live performance as it was in like the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, because they're being re-uploaded with auto-tune and pitch correction. So I am going to be just playing this bit by bit, isolated vocals as well. And if you're wanting to hear the performance the whole way through, then this isn't the video for you, because it's going to be an analysis. And if you want to watch the performance and listen to it, you can check out my previous video, which did get blocked worldwide, as happens all the time with Eagles songs, especially here in the UK. But I did dispute that, so it is available for people to watch on my channel. So anyway, you can go to that. I'll leave a link to that in the description below and put a link to it now in this video. But we are going to be jumping into, as you can see on screen, the auto-tuned and pitch corrected. It has had both applied to it, and then the original on the right hand side. And to stop this video getting blocked, we are just going to be listening to it phrase by phrase. So let's have a listen. All alone at the end. And that's all you need to hear. And that's all I needed to hear. When I listened to this live vocal, and I say live because it is the live vocal, but it's been auto-tuned and pitch corrected. So when we're looking at our pitch monitoring software, the other thing is that if you are sensitive to pitch, as I am, you can hear instantly when auto-tune has been applied. So it means that any song you listen to, like listening to this, it's now ruined for me because I know it's auto-tuned. Just hearing that first note being held, all alone, it just sounds robotic. The F-sharp 4 that is hit is absolutely squashed to the line. That's what auto-tune is doing to it. And the actual vocal on the right hand side, and this is Randy's live vocal, was slightly sharp, and it's obviously going to sound a lot more natural. But as we let it play on at the end, look at the way that Randy's vocal here was bang on the B3 and then just ascends a little bit. But here we've now got pitch correction coming in. So they've corrected Randy's vocal here to then get stuck to the B3. And again, you don't need to correct any of this. It's got to the point where people in the studio, producers and people that are now editing this for a re-release, think that they're making it better somehow than a vocalist who was already great. You can't improve on it. But people who can't sing and have never sung at this kind of level think, oh, I'm going to make this better by applying what I think it needs. But it's all subjective. So you've just got to leave it as it is and leave the art as it was. Let's just have a listen to Randy singing this without auto-tune and pitch correction. All alone at the end of the evening. There's no way that anybody has ever listened to that since they heard it for the first time live and thought, oh no, that was really bad, that needs some kind of correction, or Randy's got to sing that again. This is the point, that none of this needed to be applied. So we'll just jump into the next phrase. When the bright lights have faded to blue. I mean, it just sounds so ridiculous. And this is the auto-tuned, pitch-corrected version, as you can hear. But look at the F sharp 4. I mean, again, glued to the line here. And the original F sharp 4 would be slightly sharp. But here's where it's ridiculous. The D sharp 4 here, this is pitch corrected. So it's now been squashed more to the line. Look at where Randy hits this live on the D sharp 4. He's directly over the line anyway. As you can see here, the C sharp 4 has now been stuck over that line. Here we've got a gradual incline, or raising of pitch. And here's the other thing. The D sharp 4 again, he's pretty much bang on, but they've made sure that they just clamp it to the line this second time round. The auto-tune is when it's just sticking it to the lines and we don't get any variation of that. Whenever there's vibrato, this has been pitch corrected, which means normally with vibrato, if it goes too close to another note, auto-tune will snap it to that other note, because it just tries to find whichever note is closest and then just snap it to that absolute value. Whereas here, this has been pitch corrected, and look at the B3, and we're directly over this line. And when we look at where Randy, I mean, he was so accurate live anyway, he's spot on the B3. There's an ever so slight variation, but there's no difference really. The only difference is expression in this, because he's singing without the computer processor getting involved, and therefore it's sounding natural. It hasn't gone through a manipulating process and then been spat out after that with now a mechanical sound to it. So he was already there, so he didn't need any help from anything. But they're applying, it's almost like just apply it to everything. And then you can imagine the producer saying, but he's already hitting the notes. So no, just so we definitely know. Well, we know because we can see it. Well, no, just apply it to everything. And the whole song, pitch correct it all and auto-tune it all. And I don't care how it sounds. And that's pretty much what's going on here on the screen. I mean, it just looks ridiculous because we're so used to looking at natural voices that haven't been manipulated and seeing these lines on the screen. Or you can spend all your love making time. I mean, that, you almost can't see it because it is so on the line. I mean, you can hear that is just like somebody pressing a key on a keyboard. That's effectively what auto-tune does. It just snaps it to a key at 440 hertz tuning. Or you can spend all your love making time. I mean, the problem is, it's going to be a debatable thing. Some people don't mind auto-tune being applied to vocals. And I'd say that nowadays, yes, it's an artistic thing. If you want to use auto-tune, pitch correction, as an artist, you can choose to do that or you can choose not to do that. The problem that I've got is now taking vocals from the 1970s, for example, and applying auto-tune to them, applying a technology that didn't exist back then. And you might have people that are now listening to the Eagles and saying, oh, I don't like the sound because they used auto-tune too much. And they probably don't know when auto-tune was invented. They might think that it's been around forever and that some bands use it, some bands don't. And I don't like the Eagles because they used too much technology. I'd rather hear a natural singer and somebody who's learned to hit pitch accurately. That's the problem that I have, that people will get the wrong impression from bands back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s with these re-releases, thinking that they used auto-tune because they might not know the history. They might be too young to even understand about the fact that it didn't exist. So yeah, this is where I've got a problem with it. And the fact that you're effectively destroying the art form, and you're destroying the art from back in those times, hearing as it was on that particular night, on that particular date of that particular year, you're never going to be able to hear that again, because you're always going to hear a manipulated version of it that somebody else thinks is better. But anyway, I mean, as I scroll through the pitch monitoring software, looking at the original on the right hand side, then the auto-tune pitch corrected on the left, you see this kind of thing all the time, where a live vocal from Randy is absolutely spot on. I mean, here he's probably what, 2 or 3 cents off. You're not going to notice it at all, but then that's still, you know, been corrected for some point to now be 0. And this is the point, that with no variation of pitch, just being at 0 all the time, that's what makes it sound weird, because the human voice doesn't do that. Just the way that it works, it's always going to have a slight variation in it, either 1 or 2 cents sharp or flat of the note. It will kind of wobble in and around that area. It will never be directly over the line all the time. The point to make is that this live performance, you cannot see the original anywhere. There are, I think, 2 or 3 videos on YouTube now that have the pitch corrected / auto-tuned vocal of Randy's, and the original audio from that video doesn't exist. And I've looked on YouTube, I can't find any version that has a natural, unedited vocal from Randy on it. So yeah, sadly, that's the world that we live in. And ironically, the Eagles and all of their songs get blocked, but the one that I tried to showcase and have showcased, because I disputed it, that had Randy's original vocal on it, hasn't been edited. And I can see that the videos, I mean, maybe because they're on a lot smaller channels, the videos that have been auto-tuned haven't been blocked. So you're not even getting a true representation of an Eagles song, but that's allowed to be on the internet. Whereas me trying to give you something genuinely, you know, true and authentic to their live sound, that was blocked. But thankfully, yeah, they do have the dispute function. So it means that, you know, it gets reviewed and it can be seen that the video that I'm doing is an analysis video. So therefore it falls under fair use and it is transformative. So they can't stop me from doing that. And also, just, you know, like this, the peak of the G#4, it goes directly up, gets to the line, comes back down again with the slide. Whereas here you can see that it's actually sharp of the G#4 when it hasn't been edited. So anyway, this is another debate that you guys can have in the comments section below. Let me know what you guys think about it, and if there are any Eagles fans out there, what do you think about their vocals now being auto-tuned and pitch corrected to be more perfect? I would say it's less perfect by doing this, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Keep those suggestions, requests for future videos coming in the comment section below. But I will catch you guys at the next one. Rock.